output, because as it was pointed out, you write everything yourself. How does that possibly happen? You're talking in a city.
Because I'm a fool. I don't feel at all superior about this. I mean, I think the idea of a writer's room is fab. I love a writer's room. And I always admire, I mean, when you get a series like Mad Men, which Matthew Weiner ran the writer's room of, and here is a wonderful show, which I was completely obsessed with, and with an extraordinary style that never faltered, that kept going right to the end. And I feel running a writer's room and yet keeping it sufficiently disciplined and organized so that the style never falters is an incredible achievement to me. I mean, I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I would A, love to have a shot at it, and B, be absolutely thrilled if I managed to bring it off. But for us, we did have a go in the first series of having another writer, but although they were absolutely charming and very hardworking and great, you know, but there was something about the rhythm of the show you couldn't get, and you know, and then I had to kind of redo it, and after that, it just seemed easier not to try again, you know, and just get on with it, and so I got on with it. That's the story.
As the sole writer, you were sort of godlike, really. Disposed or not. Did you ever feel like Arthur Conan Doyle got so sick of Holmes he tried to kill him off and then never You did have characters die, but...
Well, the only character, we had two characters we killed. The first was the footman, William, and that was because we were going through the First World War. And I mean, the First World War was a big, big killer. And in my own family, my grandfather died at the age of 29, his brother-in-law died of wounds at the end of the war. Three of his cousins died, one of them a woman who was coming back to England on a liner that was torpedoed by the Germans. I mean, we were just an ordinary family. And we felt it was not believable that absolutely no one in Downton or among the family or the staff died. So we sort of drew lots. And I'm afraid William got the short straw. But at least he had a really good death scene and married Daisy and everyone in sobs. You know, we didn't try and rush it. But it was a little bit tough on Thomas, although he's worked ever since. Thomas Howes, who played him, he's worked ever since. But the only other one we killed was Lavinia, who was engaged to Matthew. But you know, this was a character who was born to die. We knew we were going to have to free Matthew up to go back to Mary. So there was no way around that. But of course that was quite fun for the actress, because she knew it from when she got the job. She knew it was a one-series job and she died at the end of it. And of course, it's good sometimes to be in a show because it was a big hit by then. And she knew she was going to be playing a leading role in a big hit, and by the time it went out, she was available. You know? So that was kind of a plus, really. But the others who died left. You know, you could, because here you can get actors for 5 years and even 7 years sometimes. And they're very strong about it. You know, you go to the audition, and if you don't sign the thing saying, I'll agree to a 5-year contract, where you don't do the audition. I mean, you know, tough love. But we don't have that. And no English agent will give you an actor for more than 3 years. And that's only an initial contract. They won't then renew for 3. They'll renew for 1 or 2. And so we got to the end of 3 years. And, you know, Siobhan, who played O'Brien, wanted to leave. That was less traumatic. A servant character wants to leave, they get another job, you know. And she went off with Lady Finch or whatever and snuck out, and that was the end of her, which is fine. But a character in the family, if you're never going to see them again, and you know, and I used to say, you know, you're living in Dublin, you're very happy, we just see you for 2 episodes, but no. They wanted to go, and you know, as an actor, you have a gut feeling, you feel, you know, it's right for me to go now, this is the time. And you have to respect that, I mean, because actors run on instinct, there's no rule book, God knows. And you have to do what you think is right for the next thing. The only thing that caught me out was that Jessica Brown-Finn, who played Sybil, had said right from the beginning, I'm doing 3 years, and that's it, and I'm going to leave at the end of the 3rd year. So I did lots of, how are we going to kill her, and I discovered that there was still a lot of death in childbirth, and eclampsia in the 20s was still, once the fitting had begun, 100% fatal. You never survived it after you had started fitting. And it had this terrible twist that you quite often had a period when you seemed as if you'd recovered after the baby was born, and this might last for 1 hour or 2, and then the fits would return and you would then die. And that was just it until the middle of the 1930s, something like 34, they began to be able to get you through it, but none at all in this period. And that seemed quite good because it gave me a happy ending and a sad ending. I don't mean to sound hard-hearted, of course it was terrible. And indeed, the Eclampsia Society were quite pleased that attention was drawn to this condition, which still exists. I mean, it doesn't kill you necessarily now, but it's still very, very dangerous. And so they were, everything was fine. So that's all written, and I think, well, I'll kill her in 5, then we've got 4 to get over it, And that was all great. And then we got to the read-through, and I'd written 5 episodes, and we got the cast, we got the directors, everything was all set. And then Dan decided he wanted to go too. And of course I thought, God, if I'd known that, I'd have killed them together in a lift or something. I couldn't do more funerals and memorials and all this stuff, because we'd done all that, we were going to do all that with Sybil. And the only way I could get round it, and I said to him, can't we just finish the series, everything happy, the baby in the crib, everything lovely, and then come back and I'll kill you in episode 1 next year. But he didn't want that. And so my only option, not to repeat all that stuff, was to kill him in the last shot, and then have a 6-month gap, and then begin again with the next series. The trouble was that the final episode in England played on Christmas night. So there were all the people, eating that 1 mince pie too many, with a glass of port in the other hand, and suddenly, puff! Well, you should see the letters I got after that. I will never watch anything with your name on it. That went on for months. Anyway, they sort of came to forgive us. And in a way, to be honest, nothing is harder to dramatize than happiness. It's great to live, but it's terrible to watch. And if they had stayed married and in the series, as we thought, Dan would be there to the end, and they would have had to have some trouble. There's a fatal disease. They can't have children. He loses his foot. I don't know what it would have been. But something would have to have been big trouble. And in fact, what we got was Mary trying to rebuild her life and trying to rebuild her confidence, which of course was much more interesting for Michelle to play. And she played it very well. She was fantastic. So in a way, it was kind of okay. And Dan has done a lot of films, and he's been on Broadway, and now he's about to appear in Beauty and the Beast, the new Disney big thing. And
Which one?
Beauty and the Beast. He's playing the Beast.
Oh, okay.
He's playing the Prince.
He's very good looking.
He's very good looking. That's only in the final reel. But no, it'll get a big push. And of course, Lily, who came from Downton, was in Cinderella, So I think he's been proved right. I don't think he made it wrong. People always say, he should have stayed in the show. But I don't think that's true. I think he's done well. And I think that this film should do it for him. So, hurrah all around.
Another thing that's singular is how much it is of its time. There are a lot of television programs that you could put in any country virtually or any period. This one wove the elements of history, not only during the First World War. I was very amused when Mary brought out her Mary Stokes book, and when you had medical and historical development, the general strike on the horizon. So it had to be true to the history of its time, and the family had to reflect that.